morning you were talking about in your article about how rents are pushing people to buy now.
Yeah, we're at a pretty unique point in the housing cycle is rents are so expensive. People are saying, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to buy. And for a long time, people were so scared of the housing market. We saw it crash, we saw it burn, people are scarred. But when your landlord says, I'm going to raise your rent a couple $100s, people are doing the math.
In percentage terms, what are we talking about here when it rises?
It depends. Like, it's only up 1% a little bit this year, but rents on average nationwide are more than $1,000. And I've interviewed people whose landlords are going up a couple $100s on a one-year lease, and that's just a lot of money.
Right. And of course, I guess it's more pronounced in places like the New York area or San Francisco, where you just have, you know, a lot more demand for rental.
We're definitely seeing rent increases in the tech-heavy markets right now, which makes sense. We're in another tech boom. San Jose, San Francisco, big increases there. And unfortunately for people there, that's where home buying still costs a lot of money. So that ratio doesn't work in every market.
And give us a little bit more, you know, background beyond just kind of, you know, supply and demand economics about why rents are going up.
Well, after the housing market crashed, so many people saw they were foreclosed on, they were too scared to buy, so they went to the rental market. Well, there weren't a lot of apartments built after the housing and the financial markets crashed, so there just aren't enough apartments to go around. We're seeing vacancy rates under 5%, which we haven't seen in more than a decade. So, I mean, it's simple, not enough apartments.
And if you see on screen right now, we have a chart showing average rent as a percentage of after-tax mortgage payment. As you see, it's actually going up. It's more expensive right now to rent in a lot of cases than to own.
Yeah, that actually comes from Deutsche Bank, and they found that right now it costs 15% more to rent than it does to own. And so they're saying, come on guys, let's you know, do the math yourself and figure out what works. And in Atlanta, it's almost double. In Atlanta, if you're renting right now, you're just throwing money down the drain.
Right. And is this getting us back though in any way?
Actually, sorry to interrupt you, but just as we're talking about cities, the chart we have up there shows sort of the highest and lowest cities around the country in terms of renting.
Yeah, you're right.
Owning.
We don't want to be in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I complain about New York rents, and it's like,
but
you know.
Going to Jeanette, your point, as you say, there's a difficulty in you might like to buy, but there's still price in some markets. It's tough to get a mortgage for a lot of people.
It's tough to get a mortgage. And I mean, Dawn, is this at all getting us back to, you know, some of the trouble that we saw pre-crisis, the American dream? Everybody should own a house. I mean, should all these people be pushed back into the housing market?
Well, standards are so tough right now that if you're qualifying for a mortgage, you're a good buyer. I mean, I'm hearing from people who think they're good buyers and they're getting turned down, and they're saying, what's going on? Banks are scared, and if you make it through the cut and you get to the dotted line, you're in good shape.
Well, so one thing to be clear, and I often am seen as being negative on banks, so but to their point, you know, it's not so much that they're scared; they're actually just going back to what we used to see as lending, you know, in the years before the bubble. Oh, you have to have 20% down. Oh, we're going to have a realistic appraisal on the property. So I think one of the things is that there's a little bit too much people say, oh, banks are being so tough. No, they're being realistic. That's their job. And so we need to see some more of that, even if it makes it tough.
Right.
Going back to the cities, one thing that shocked me was Las Vegas. Rents up there.
This is one of the first times I've seen this. I've been doing this story for a couple of years now. Las Vegas, overbuilt. We know the story. Prices down so far, but rents are actually going up. I mean,
there's just rows of foreclosure there. I mean, that was why the image you have is that you could just go camp out in a house.
That's why it's so amazing.
Yeah.